You know, that dance reminds me of the moral dance we all do every day to hide our complicity in the world's atrocities.
We're not complicit. Every drop bomb may kill someone or may not, who knows. They create a lot of dust. Hard to see. What a drop bomb does do, for certain, is create a new order at the factory.
Ronnie mentioned the war in Gaza is now 6 months old.
Israel calls it a war. I call it police action against a gang that performed a prison break.
Not to worry. America, the shining city on a hill, is on the case with our universal values.
I wish the old Jon Stewart wouldn't make me feel stupid. What are universal values? You tell me. If it's a good value, how could it not be universal? I see only values, and everyone has their own. Here in the United States, our Constitution says our government will aim to give each of us the freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we value. In our history, we had problems with ex-slaves, blacks, or us whites have had problems. Yes, there were some events where we tried to wipe them all out, like Tulsa, but for the most part, we capture them individually and put them in prison if they do something wrong. They get a due process. Not only are you innocent until proven guilty, you're not responsible for your brother or neighbor's criminal behavior. Now, in Israel, they value the Jewish ethnicity first. Unlike here, some individuals have limited rights in Israel. Israel says it's a democracy like ours, but it isn't. We know this because when individual people from Gaza came over and killed Israelis, the Israelis tried to kill Gaza as an entire population. To the Israeli government, there aren't individuals in Gaza. Everyone is Hamas. If we thought like them, then after the LA riots over the Rodney King verdict, we would have carpet-bombed Compton. Would liberal democracies like us be liberal democracies if we killed people in groups? You know the answer. So the question is, should we give bombs to people who use them to kill people in groups? Something we don't do.
And just to clarify, we are the freedom folks. We're the rules people. We're not the brute force ones. I think we all know who the brute force ones are. In this case, Vladimir.
Not between rules-based and brute force, as I have so expertly explained. Does old Stewart have ADHD? We just got started on Israel, and now he's flown off to Russia.
How about the free press? Ordinarily, we are strongly in favor of free press.
We also condemn the Russian government's continued targeting and repression of journalists.
Raytheon must have sent Stewart a memo. We don't want viewers thinking about bombing people in Gaza. Let's look at free press in Russia. That's a titillating subject for all Americans.
How about if it's true, we condemn it?
That's what I always say. If your partner throws out your coffee before you finish drinking it, you should condemn it.
Well, you know what? Perhaps these are just peripheral issues. What about the bedrock rule of international law? No taking land by force. When Russia does it, we're pretty clear.
The entire world has a stake in making sure that no nation, no aggressor, is allowed to take a neighbor's territory by force. The American people will never waver on our commitment to those values.
Ish. See, this is where Israel's actions get interesting. Because you might say Israel's war is different than Ukraine's. Israel's responding to an attack and a hostage crisis. But in the midst of that, they pulled a little something in the West Bank on March 22nd that might be notable.
As the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken made his latest visit to Israel, the Israeli government announced that it was declaring state land, nearly 2,000 acres of land, in the occupied West Bank.
This latest Israeli appropriation is the largest land transfer since the Oslo Accords were signed in 1993.
You mean Israel is doing what it's been doing since 1948? Hey, that is funny. I had no idea that grubby behavior goes on over there. I wish my government would go out and get me some land.
1993, and that's not even Gaza, that's the West Bank. So you can't say it has anything to do with defending yourself against Hamas. Let's see if America upholds its rule against taking land.
Real estate talk, always more interesting than children buried in the rubble of their own homes.
If true, the verbal gymnastics that the American government must undertake so as not to offend the delicate sensibilities of a country we provide most of the weapons for is, every time America tells the world that there's something we won't allow, Israel seems to say, challenge accepted.
More like every time Jon Stewart tells his audience, I'm going to bring up an issue you cannot ignore, the audience is like, challenge accepted.
Are they willfully trying to provoke us? Over 30,000 have died in Gaza since the war started. Some of them Hamas soldiers, 13,000 of them children. Our response.
Since the early hours, we've been urging our Israeli counterparts to act with as much precision as they can in their targeting. Our constant efforts to urge the Israelis to be as precise and careful as possible.
Whatever you say, don't mention that there are bombs. Do not connect the two. We send bombs. Bombs kill children. We send more bombs. Don't put it like that. Oh, no. Listen, old Jon Stewart, don't make it about words. This isn't about words, Jon Stewart.
What are we doing here? The subtext of all this is America knows this is wrong, but it apparently doesn't seem to have the courage to say it in a straightforward manner.
No, you don't have the courage. You don't have the courage to say, it's our bombs. They killed children. The president is sending more. If Trump were doing this, you'd have no problem saying it, would you?
The subtext of all this is America knows this is wrong, but it apparently doesn't seem to have the courage to say it in a straightforward manner. America and Israel both know that you cannot bomb your way into safety. We learned that lesson in Iraq and Afghanistan.
It's okay to clap if you think the U.S. did to Iraq and Afghanistan what Israel is doing to Gaza. The U.S. did not carpet bomb people's homes in Iraq or Afghanistan. Sorry, I know the U.S. is the evil empire and all that, but it didn't happen. It may have happened during World War II, but it hasn't happened since then, except for Israel, of course. Israel has brought it back, but old Jon Stewart hasn't noticed. Old Jon Stewart won't ask the simple question. That child buried in the rubble. How did it get there? Who pulled the trigger? Who supplied the weapon?